All right, and we are here. Welcome to a new edition of After the Whistle. Hope y'all had a lovely Valentine's Day over the weekend. And
yeah, mine was pretty good.
I was on the plane, so.
I was with Maddie. She didn't want to go out to eat, so she just wanted candy. They don't do chocolate.
That's simple enough. Wow. I gave my girl Valentine her gift the night before.
Okay.
Can't talk about that. Oh man, we got a lot to talk about in this hour that we got you guys. So we gonna start off NBA. NFL's over, so the NBA is gonna be in the A block unless some crazy stuff happens in the NFL. But start with the NBA. We're gonna start with the Boston Celtics. These guys needed a win badly, and they came out. They played well. No questions about playing hard and moving the ball around, because after the game against Washington, people got on the press conference that we need to play hard, we need to move the ball. Just, a lot of stuff from a frustrated team from losing to one of the worst teams in the league.
It happens. You're not going to have 100% record against the bottom, the bottom feed of the league. Yeah. So that just happens throughout a long season, especially as some consider the dog days before All-Star break. Yeah. It's a grind. But, I liked how they played. I like how Tatum was passing the ball. He was getting a lot of double coverage. Yeah, he was. And, Brown was eating off a lot of that as well. So, I like how they was doing things. That I like. They didn't shoot the three ball as well. They could have, but they shot the three ball way better than the Nuggets did.
Yeah, they did. And the good thing about it is, like, one of the two guys that went on that podium and had that criticism, Kemba and Jalen, they did a good job. They played a great game. Kemba didn't shoot well from the three, but he was getting to the cup, which is what we're used to seeing him doing, because he hasn't been doing that much. I don't know if it was the knee, and then Jalen was talking about getting, moving the ball around. He had 5 assists. That's good enough for him at his position, with what they do on offense. So they just got to move that ball around. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I think, and I like, sometimes we need Tatum to score more, but with due to how they were playing him, I like that he was getting the ball out of his hands and making great decisions with the ball. But one issue the Celtics still have is size, or not utilizing their size, or not improving their big men, because Jokic just ate them alive. He's obviously top 2 big men in the league.
Oh,
it was nothing they could do with him.
They was trying to double him. They was throwing 3 people. There was literally nothing. What, he had like 30? He had like 30 through 3 quarters or something like that, or 39.
He had 43.
He had 43 total, but he was just eating them alive. And one thing with Tatum, he said it the other day. He said him having COVID has messed up his breathing. So he said he was getting tired quickly, more than usual, and he's still adjusting to that. So that's something we don't talk about a lot. Don't talk about with these athletes. Those that do get COVID is the after effects of it, because they can be fine. They look like they're fine, but they're still having lingering effects, and the breathing part, that's the biggest issue.
And I could definitely understand what he's saying, because I had mono in prep school, and luckily my spleen wasn't inflamed, so I missed 6 games, but I was able to come back and play with it, but I was just a little more fatigued. Coach wouldn't let me play as long. I played the whole game, mostly every game, but he wouldn't let me play as much because I was still sick and whatnot, but obviously it wasn't contagious, but I could definitely contest to that, so he's coming along, though.
Yeah, he definitely is now. I know the trade deadline's coming up, but they need something. They need a bigger something, another big. But the thing I like, their bench actually showed up. These guys showed up. Robert Williams and Peyton Pritchard, they've been the 2 consistent guys off the bench. Williams, every time he's on the floor, I don't know what it is, but just good things happen. Whenever he's on the floor, in the amount of minutes he has, good things just happens. I think he's averaging like one block and 1 steal for 15 minutes, and that's probably the most. And then Pritchard, he looks like he's been in the league a while, just the way he controls the game and gets everybody involved.
Well, thought it was onside.
Okay.
Well, that's what happens when you draft a 4-year player.
Yeah.
A guy with experience. In the NCAA, granted, it doesn't always translate to the NBA level, but with him being a heady, strong point guard and who could shoot, he definitely fits in the offense, because he's been consistent throughout the whole season. But like I said last week, the Celtics are at their best when the bench gets involved.
Yeah.
We need the bench to get involved because our stars just aren't superstars yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Tatum and Brown, they're on their way there, but they're just not there yet.
Yeah, and if you want to be a championship team, you need the bench because because there'll be stretches where, I bet you sometimes Brad Stevens wants to have sit Tatum and Brown down at the same time. It's just so other things can happen, but he can't because he needs one of those guys out there to score. And even Kemba, he's still, they still got. I think they're still monitoring his minutes, so they're still worried about that knee, and he doesn't play back to back like they're playing again tonight.
Okay.
So we'll probably see Pritchard in the starting lineup. And Smart, he's still out with what was it, calf strain or something like that. So these guys, they need to get healthy, and they need to make not a big move during the trade deadline, but they need a small move that'll help improve either 3-point shooting off the bench or bigs. That's really it.
I mean, but the way Pritchard was shooting, the way Pritchard has been shooting the ball, he could be that 3-point threat off the bench.
Yeah. But you never know with rookies. Everything's always up and down with that. And for the Nuggets, I don't get Jamal Murray. This dude don't look like the same guy from the bubble. Like throughout the season, he looked good last night, but it's been kind of like a roller coaster for him. I don't know if it's teams figured how to guard him or.
I mean, it's also just regular NBA basketball going through the season, the travel and all that. Lord knows what he's eating in certain places. So I'm sure he doesn't travel with a personal chef. So who knows? It's just the tales of the season, right?
Yeah, and for them, I mean, this guy Michael Porter Jr. He doesn't know a bad shot, but you can't be 0 for 8. You can't give him 0. You got to give them something. Like he's that. If the Denver's gonna get over the top and get to the final, he's that guy because he has all the skill they need, everything. It's just he doesn't know a bad shot, and his defense is very questionable. And then you play 24 minutes, 0 for 8 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. Don't even get to the free throw line. Like that's
it's crazy. When I looked at Jokic and Murray's stat line, I didn't even really look at anybody else's just because they shot 26% from 3. So I'm like, oh yeah, nobody else did much at all based on how much them two scored.
Yeah, so. pretty much. That's another thing. These guys, what they bench have 14 points. You need. It's a team collective because Jokic, he's having a great season. But he can't. I don't think he's that player to put it all on him. But he could carry the load. But at some point, you gotta.
I like Jokic.
Oh, I like him too. Looks slow as hell, but gets the job done. All right, some other news. The Lakers. Anthony Davis never is able to stay healthy for a whole season, and now he's out with a calf strain. Let's say it's a calf strain. This looked like the same thing that happened with KD in the playoffs a couple years ago, and now he's out. They say he's gonna be out for a couple weeks. They might reevaluate him during All-Star break and bring him back. But for the Lakers, it's kind of a big deal because now you're putting more on LeBron James' shoulders. And the thing with when AD was in the lineup, they could sit LeBron for a good amount of minutes and have just AD in, or they could sit AD and have LeBron in. Now it's like you sit LeBron out. It's like, okay, where is the playmaking gonna come from?
Well, this is when the coach comes into play, knowing your personnel and knowing who to plug in, and knowing how long you can sit LeBron down for if he needs a break desperately.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't put his hand up, don't yank him.
Yeah, but the good thing about this, they got two guys, Schroeder and Harold. Those two guys, they both were 6-man of candidates, and I think Schroeder won one, or I think Harold won one.
Harold won one. Yeah. I think Schroeder might have been like
runner-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with those two, they're not gonna have a good core, but you just don't know if you could leave them out there without LeBron or AD, because it's kind of like, all right, when all else fails and we're struggling and the shot clock's winding down, who we gonna get the ball to?
This is what happens when some of your stars go out. Your role players have to fill in different spots and do a little extra than they might be accustomed to doing, but they all have the skill set to do it. Yeah. So now it's just going out there and getting it done. Yeah,
this stretch for the Lakers, it's gonna really see how good of a team they are. Granted, they got to match up with the Nets Thursday, but both teams aren't gonna be completely healthy because I don't think KD's playing. I know Kyrie might not be playing, so it might just be another case of last night where it's just James Harden. But with this stretch that the Lakers got, they definitely have some of these teams that they play. They could definitely beat them, and they don't really need AD. But it's like when you get later parts when you play, because they're still fighting with the Clippers, the Jazz for that top seed in the West. So they got some games they need to win. I got their schedule coming up: Brooklyn, Miami, Washington. All 3 winnable games. Then Utah, Portland, Golden State. So they got a bunch of winnable games. But the NBA so damn unpredictable, and you see good teams go lose to bad teams, and especially on the road, you just be like,
all we gotta see is what Mr. Frank Vogel's gonna throw out there.
Yeah.
And his strategies.
Yeah.
Just gotta see what he does.
Yeah. Well, we definitely will see that. This is definitely gonna be, are you a good coach or not? All right, this team, the Utah Jazz, these guys have been running through everybody, and it's kind of opened my eye. I'm like, they're not really this good. I watched one game. I think they hit 18 threes. And Jordan Clarkson the other day had 40 off the bench. And this is a whole different Jazz team. They're not playing like the normal slow-paced Jazz team that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, they're not at all, actually. Having the best record in the league, I'm still not a believer. Just because I looked at the Philly game, no Embiid. You know what I mean? Gobert has 11 and 9. Howard gives him 14 and 12. And you need Clarkson's 40 to beat you, and you only beat him by like 11, I think. I'm just not a believer.
And Ben Simmons had 40 without hitting the 3.
Yeah, so I'm just I'm not saying they're not a good team.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're a championship caliber team.
Yeah, a lot of people said the same thing about them. They're like, we're gonna have to wait and see in the postseason, because that what happened in the postseason last year still has an effect. People still can't forget that you guys were up 3-1 and had a couple opportunities to seal that game and didn't. And now you coming out, they're playing a lot better than they did last year at this point in the season, because they were still trying to get accustomed with Mike Conley. They still didn't know. They was like, should he start? Should he come off the bench? And now he's out now. But when he was in, they were playing really well. Him and Donovan Mitchell were playing well with each other. But now it's like, are you guys that good? Donovan Mitchell, can you make big buckets in the postseason when it's important, when it's time to seal a series away? That's one thing I'm not too sure about.
Gobert's supposed to be the reigning defensive player of the year, correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's got like 2 of them things.
You got all this money for being the franchise big man. People give Shaq a hard time for cracking a couple jokes on your stat line, and you let Dwight Howard give you 14 and 12. And you only gave him 11 and 9, and you don't even have to, bang pause with Embiid at all throughout that whole game.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a big believer in the Jazz. It's because he doesn't take advantage of the opportunities.
And he's not a guy you could even throw the ball down on the block and be like, go give me a point, go do something with it. It's like somebody's not creating for him, or if he's not coming off the offensive rebound, and that's pretty much how he gets his offense. Because at some point you need a low post game.
Because we know what Mitchell's gonna do, we know what Ingles is gonna do, we know what everybody else is gonna do.
Yeah.
But we just don't know what Gobert's gonna do.
Yeah, and then there's gonna be some games. Can we leave him in there? Do we match up with him? Can he? A lot of teams do high screen and roll, and if they switch, can he switch? So yeah, the Jazz. Somebody said they're like that Atlanta Hawks team that had the number 1 seed years back.
That was always good, but they just never were great or can get over the hump. With Joe Johnson, who was an all-star every year, but he was never the man in the league. Yeah, pretty much.
That's what this team is looking like, and I don't get it. But the way these guys are hitting threes it's kind of ridiculous, because we're never used to seeing a Utah Jazz team hit as many threes as these guys are doing. So
they're on a good run. They're on a good run.
They're off, but take advantage of it. All right, Draymond Green, he had some comments the other day, and I sent you the clip about the treatment of players and how certain teams are treating players. Andre Drummond, for example, Blake Griffin for another example, and I think he was dead on with the treatment of players, and the thing that got me was when he said these guys, they have to remain professional, they have to stay in shape, and they have to be ready. So when they do get traded, they don't come in there out of shape and not ready to play. Because just sitting them down like that is.
I mean, that does, he's talking about mental health and all that. That does affect your mental health. Just like being fired from a job.
Yeah.
Walking out your boss's office and you're walking through everybody's cubicle, everybody looking at you, knowing you got fired, but you know what I mean? It's just an uncomfortable thing. You know me, I agree with what Draymond said. I don't think he said anything that was out of ordinary. You expect these athletes to act all high and mighty, but treat everybody else to a lower standard.
Yeah.
Just treat every professional to the same standard.
And we seen a perfect example of this season. James Harden. I know he mentioned that James Harden. He asked for a trade. He didn't want to be there no more, and he was getting chastised, and they were playing a game of chicken between him and the organization. So it's like it's bad for a player to ask for a trade, but when a team deems they're gonna trade you because they no longer have value for you, then it's like, oh, that's perfectly fine, but you can't ask for a trade.
But this all goes to a conversation we had off camera, I think a while ago, about McMillan, the ESPN reporter. The great lady was talking about
Jackie McMillan.
Yeah, Jackie McMillan, great reporter, but was talking to Kyrie Irving, talking about he is their property.
Oh yeah.
And like these athletes are looked at as property of these teams, these organizations, and these people are employees just as well as you're an employee of your job. So they need to get rid of that whole stigma that people own you, because nobody owns anybody. You're employed by them, and that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's kind of disheartening for a player too, because they're in the NBA. Number one, you're in the NBA. Some of them don't care how bad the team is. They want to be on the court playing. That's what they do. They want to stay on the court playing no matter the situation. And then for him to be like, all right, now I got to sit all these X amount of games until they figure out a trade. I can't even play the games. I could practice and all that, but I can't play in games. Like, what am I here for? Get me out of here already. But now you want to do that?
It's a little ridiculous. I'm glad that they have more of a voice, and fans can have more of a voice as well and vouch for these players, just because the treatment they get is definitely unfair at times.
But some of these fans, they always think like, oh, you make this amount of money, you should just sit there and take it. But at some point, it's like but at some point, it's just like, that's not the point. It's respect. You gotta show me a level of respect. I don't care how much money I'm making or how much money you're paying me. You still need to give me a level of respect. And we've seen throughout all sports that these owners and stuff, they don't have that respect.
It's like the more money you make, the more your human rights get stripped from you. Yeah. Like your privacy, how much money you make, like that's private information, or it should be private information, but it's made public just because you're put on a pedestal. Yeah,
definitely. So, man, that's kind of ridiculous. All right, the Spurs have postponed 5 games due to COVID. I think 4 players contracted the virus, so their next 5 or so games are postponed, and don't even know about the following other games. But this has been quite the season of adjustments for the NBA with all this happening. And the bubble was so simple, but you can't do that all the time. And now having to deal with reality with this happening and games being postponed, it's just, man, it's tough.
Yeah, ain't too much for me to say on that, because I just been saying you might as well just have a bubble until they figure out a way to have these players vaccinated if they want to get vaccinated, or just figure out a better system, or mini bubbles, like we said before, in-state mini bubbles, because think about it. Yeah. Texas has 3 teams on its own, so it's like they could play each other like 3-4 times and knock that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then Texas got a whole nother problem happening down there right now too, among COVID, around Dallas and Houston area. So that whole state there's a lot going on, and more important things than basketball happening over there.
Well, yeah, that as well. But I mean by in-state bubbles, there are a couple states that have multiple teams, so you can just have them knock them games out if possible.
Oh yeah, play each other. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's weird, but we'll see what happens with this. We'll give any updates. But yeah, 4 players to test positive, and now everybody in that organization got to get quarantined, got to get checked. It's just a headache. It's a big old headache, and
everyone just do your best to refrain from touching random things. Keep to yourself. Keep your circle small, and that's what it is.
All right. And lastly, with the NBA, the Atlanta man has concerns about the All-Star game happening in Atlanta. other players have concern about even having the All-Star game. We all know why they want to have it, is because of all that money. But there's an article out that the All-Star game is pretty much like a fan event. And, you know, you don't want to have people coming to, the mayor says you don't want people coming to Atlanta to party. There's, you know, they're already living like COVID doesn't exist, and then you bring other people out.
You just
over
nailed
there.
it on the head. Atlanta's already living like COVID don't exist. So that's a lady, right?
Yeah.
She's definitely well aware on how Atlanta's moving, and she's smart to having an issue with it.
Yeah.
It's because NBA players don't even want to have it. The mayor don't really want to have it just because she know how Atlanta's moving. Then you want to bring more people to Atlanta?
Yeah.
Nah.
All that, and especially, you know, all the media that the NBA All-Star Weekend brings to the city. So the optics are just not good. I mean, when you have LeBron saying, I really don't want to play, but if we got to do it, I'll go. But when he says that, you got to take into consideration. But you know, this whole pandemic has just shown how much capitalism runs everything, because people are not trying to lose no type of money.
I feel like this might be the first reminder that the NBA still reminds their players who's boss. Because the players have had a lot of say in the past 5 to 10 years about how the league should be ran, how it's moving, and this might be the first time the league puts a stand.
Yeah, and also, and the reason they put their foot down, because I'm sure they lost a lot of money from last season, and they're not trying to lose any more money as much as they did last season, so they're trying to squeeze out whatever they could get. And this All-Star game is one of those. But I mean, if you just want to have the players come in and do it virtually, fine, have at it. Like, do all the events virtually with the fans, fine, have it. But if you're gonna bring them in and then have fans, allow fans, because the Hawks, they allow some fans at their home games. So I don't think it's.
Colleges are doing that too.
Some colleges,
like
yeah.
That. So I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
It goes by state.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird for me, because a pandemic means it's worldwide. So I feel like everybody should kind of be under the same stipulations in regards to enclosed events.
Yeah.
But, hey.
And especially when you got multi-million-dollar people there, you don't want to risk your product, and you don't want to risk your players. So I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But so far, they say the All-Star Weekend will be happening. Just don't know at what capacity or how they will do it. All right, let's move on to the NFL. Got a couple NFL news. All right, we saw this happen. Of course, everything always happens after we get off the air. Texans, they released J.J. Watt. He made a video. He was pretty much done with the organization. Granted, himself as a player, he's pretty much, you know, on the back end of his career. So they partially parted ways. I can't even say it correct. They parted ways. They've partially parted ways. Watt is a free agent now, and this just brings up, all right, they did this for him now. Now what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? Because on one hand, you just granted this guy out. One of the best defensive players in franchise history. Now the quarterback is unhappy. He don't want to go. He don't want to stay there. So now
it seemed like him and Watson were kind of close.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of your best friends on the team you just let go. So it's time to just let Watson go. It's time to just clean house.
They let all his best friends go.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, man. Like, nobody even cares about the Texans anymore. Just blow that whole organization up and just start over with them. Yeah,
pretty much. And for Watt, it's been it's been up and down for like the past 4 or 5 years with injuries. I think he played the past 4 years he's played a full season twice, and he's had, after he won those 3 Defensive Players of the Year award, it's just been injury here and there, be out for a long time.
Yeah, but I was just thinking too. You think J.J. Watt Hall of Famer, right?
He got the stats for it.
Why you do him like that? Just like he's not. This is why it's the issue I have with the NFL. They just be doing people dirty. Granted, he should be able to voice his opinion. Social media, you shouldn't take that and get emotionally, distressed over it and then make it a decision just to release him. Y'all should have called him and spoke to him.
It was interesting, but this whole thing. I mean, this is just, he was fed up too. I'm sure he was fed up with how the organization was going and all the losing that was happening in the organization, because they've had chances in his time there where they could have made a Super Bowl run, but just terrible decisions. And
they could have like, at least traded him to a contender, but releasing him, I guess, is just as good.
Yeah. So he had like, I think he had one, like he was owed $17 million. He had 1 year left on the contract, and it was owed like $17 million. They weren't about to pay that. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he goes to Pittsburgh and play with his brothers. Both his brothers play there.
I seen the article he was considering.
I would, if I was on the back end of my career, my brother, I would. Why not? How rare is that 3 brothers play on one team? I don't know if that's ever happened.
And I crash on the couch.
Save
all my money.
Right? And also, Deshaun Watson, has been reports that the Carolina Panthers are interested in trading for him, which would be a good move, which actually would make them a team of interest because they do have weapons. They got good enough receivers. They got an all-pro running back. Offensive line, but
he need to go somewhere they can protect him.
Yeah, but he's used to that. So if he got receivers that can get open quick, he'll make it manage. But it'll be a good move for the Panthers. But if they got to trade Christian McCaffrey, they ain't gonna do the move because the point is to pair them two together. So we'll see what happens with that. But the Panthers, I mean, they should definitely look into it because Teddy, we like Teddy, but he wasn't.
He's had the rough year.
Yeah, and he wasn't. That system didn't fit him. That system didn't fit him. I know a system that would fit Teddy. There's one right up here. It'll work for him. Get on that call. Get on that phone. All right, and lastly, I've always said that Urban Meyer is a trash human being. I've been saying that for years. I've said that first when he was in Florida and he quit on his team, talking about he was sick. He had to. Just making up these excuses of not feeling well. He had to take a mental strain or whatever. And then for him, a couple years later, to go to Ohio State when the job opened up. Because it's like, dude, really? You quit on those guys? It didn't even finish the season. Then there was the coaching. The coaches he hired. Domestic, guy that's beating his wife. Kept him on staff for a while from Florida to Ohio State. And then he hired a guy, strength and conditioning coach, who was let go by the University of Iowa because he had some poor treatment of the players there at Iowa. And then you want to bring him along. Once again, so I'd say about Urban Meyer. He is a trash human being because he always brings trash people along with him.
Maybe he's just trying to give people man a second chance. I don't know, man. I can't explain this stuff, bro.
You can't. There's no defending a guy who was... players said he used racial foul. He was racist, pretty much. He was
racist?
No, the coach that he brought on.
That
the strength and conditioning coach. He used foul language towards players, abused players. He was hitting players. Black, white, whatever. No, there was a whole.
And they ain't hit him back.
There was a whole case. Yeah.
I'm just saying, they football players is massive human beings.
Sometimes with football players, it's that whole authority thing. They respect authority. But yeah, so this stuff doesn't fly in the NFL. You can't do that, especially when you got grown men in the locker room. They're not gonna listen to it.
Well, we gonna see.
Yeah, I don't know. Urban Meyer and this whole Jaguars thing. It's already starting off with a rough patch just by how he's hiring. And then he said he vetted the guy first. Like, did you really? Because if you did, you would have known what happened. And the article that came out about the guy wasn't that long ago. It was in the fall. So.
Well, listen, maybe that guy cleaned his act up, and you're going to see how he acts around grown men. Because like you said, he ain't going to be doing that around grown men, so he probably going to be on his P's and Q's.
We would think. We would hope.
I hope for his safety.
No, the dude resigned.
Oh, he already
resigned? Yeah, he resigned. That was the thing.
So what were we even talking about this for?
He resigned. This is why people saying why even hire him if you know this was going to happen because the backlash that was going to happen.
Why are we even talking about it if he resigned? Next.
This Urban Meyer with lack of awareness, he's a trash human being. Sorry to say.
But that's why he down there. Don't pay him no mind. We up here.
All right, we're going to go to Athletes Corner, and this one we talked with Mekhi Dedrick of Boston English High. My man had 50 points last week. Yeah, last week today he had a 50-point game. His coach told me last year he almost had a quadruple double with a 54-point game. So, and he scored 1,000 points last week. So this boy out here getting buckets. He's only a junior too. So check out the interview. All right, I am here. Welcome to another edition of Athletes Corner, and today we are joined by Boston English head coach Erick McKoy and star player Mekhi Dedrick. How are you two doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
All right,
Doing well, no complaints here.
no complaints. The season started. You guys are three games in. The season started, but first, before I talk about last night, just the whole process of having a season, coach. Can you just tell me about this process and all your years of coaching and just, what's transpired?
This year, with the COVID has been different, because there's a lot of adjusting that we must do as coaches, as players as well, to get ready to play a season like this, as far as like wearing masks, the hand sanitizing, make sure that your players stay safe, that they're not catching COVID, just trying to keep everything as clean as possible, due to the circumstances. So, having a season is good, especially for these kids, who they're always on Zoom, all day long with their classes. So to be able to get them out, to have a chance to play the sport that a lot of them love and was looking forward to, it's good for these kids, and starting the season was good, and hopefully we can all remain safe and get through the season.
Yeah. For you, Mekhi, as a student athlete, not being able to be in school with all your friends, and there was some questions about if a season was going to happen or not. Just for you, how were you able to, one, stay focused, and two, just have yourself prepared for the season in case you guys were going to have one?
Well, at first, how things was looking, I really didn't think we was gonna have one. I was really like feeling down and stuff. But what I did basically was just make sure I stay in the gym. Any chances I did have to go get in the gym and get better, that's what I was doing. So if I hopefully have the season, I would be prepared for it. And when I found out we had a season, even though it was short, I was just happy that we got the opportunity so we could try to make a run and everything.
Yeah, Coach, how was it the process to make sure that they stay conditioned, they stay working on their craft, and also staying focused in the classroom? Just how difficult was it for you just to make sure you had them on a workout plan that they're able to get the workout in, because so many gyms were closed and limited participation to be in gyms and limited participation as a group.
Well, for us, like you said, we had limited access to the gym due to the COVID. But the good thing about us is that I have a good friend who I can reach out to and who is able to get the guys, and do some personal training with them, get them on the beach, do some Zoom meetings with them to do conditioning through Zooms, just to make sure they stay somewhat type of conditioning, whether it's body weight, push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, at least they was active to do something. So Zoom played a big part. And then also, having, like I said, a good friend who was able to get them out to do different activities, that would help them to stay in shape.
Now let's talk about last night. I mean, 50. Kai, you out there getting buckets last night.
Yeah.
What kind of zone were you in? Just tell me about the game overall.
I don't know. So basically, when we started off the game, they had hit like two or three threes in a row, and they went up like 6-0, 9-0. So we start running our sets basically, and we're running our sets, and I'm just like passing, going through the sets, and they just leaving me open. So I'm just getting my shot off, and my shot just was hitting. The rim was just like everything was just hitting. First half, I just got it going. Then I started getting my teammates involved, so I was just feeling it first half, and then second half just carried on to that. So I don't know, it was just a good game.
Yeah, was it one of those that some people get 50 points, but it's taking a lot of shots and not playing team basketball? Was it more satisfying that it came within the confines of what you guys do as a team?
Yeah. It all came within the system, basically. I think I had six assists with it, but I could have had more. I was trying to really like get like 12 assists on the game. That was my plan. I wasn't going for the 50, but the 50 just came within their defense not stepping up, just allowing me to shoot in the first half, and I was just like, and I was just hitting. But it wasn't like a 50 where I was just taking a lot of shots and none of that. It was just like it was just falling basically.
Yeah, coach, to bounce off that, how happy are you just as a coach to see, some guys when they get in the zone, they get a little selfish and they do certain things that gets out of the offense. But how happy were you to see that your team, everything was being done within what you like to do as a team on offense, and your players knew that Mekhi had the hot hand going, but they still were able to run their stuff and get good looks for him.
Yes, it was a good feeling. Like Mekhi said, he had it going. So the guys, tend to look to him. But to Mekhi's benefit, he was looking to get everyone involved, and he was being nice just now, saying he could have had about 12 assists. If guys had a lot of open shots, he could have possibly had about 50 points and 20 assists, which would have probably been unheard of in high school basketball. So he was finding teammates. They had good looks. Shots are going in and out. With those 6 assists, and everybody might be like, oh, he scored 50, but that 50 could have easily been, 40 to go with 20 assists.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a tremendous job, and he knows I'm not one to give a lot of compliments, so for me to call him last night and tell him, hey, you balled, man. I can't take nothing from you. He did everything right. He scored the points. And like he said, they was leaving him open. He rebounded. He trapped well. Got his hand on a lot of deflections, which caused a lot of steals. He played the passing lane. If you ever see the kid, he's long, so he used that to his full advantage last night. And and a lot of teams are gonna throw double teams at him, and he was able to still do what he can do, and at the same time keep his head up, keep his dribble alive, and find guys. So a lot of what he did last night goes out to him. And like he said, we ran our sets to the fullest, and guys got to the spots where they're supposed to be at. And that's just a tremendous job. And at the same time, he was a great leader to make sure that he got everyone involved and keep everyone involved, because we got to come back Friday and we got to play that same team.
Okay.
And then we play again Saturday. So it's a tough road, but I think with the kids we have and the way he's leading, we're ready for it. We're ready for it.
Mekhi, was that something was that one of your goals for this season? Just as far as leadership, just be more of a leader by not only showing it, but also helping out the other guys. Just getting them involved. You could get your points when you want to, but being a leader is how you have other guys get involved. Was that something that you had set for yourself this season?
Yeah, definitely, because going into last year and stuff, I wasn't really. I would say I wasn't. I was young. I wasn't really ready to take on that leadership role, and that cost us losing some games and not having the best team chemistry and stuff. So going into this year, I knew I was going to be a junior. I would have to step up, be a better leader for my teammates, because everybody looks up to me. So basically, instead of like pouting, just encouraging my teammates and stuff, trying to be a better leader, trying to help them out. Because if I'm leading, everything is going to go good. Everything's going to do better than me just like being down on my teammates and stuff. So I really was trying to be a leader this year and stuff. So, and it's been helping us right now with 2-1. So we could really make a run. I just got to keep being a leader.
I mean, yeah. So 3 games into the season so far, I want to get both your thoughts. Just assess the first 3 games. How do you think you guys have done the first 3 games, and what are some areas that you guys know you can do a lot better in as the season goes on?
Basically, we're 2-1 the first 3 games. First game, I feel like we got a good dub, we got a good win, but I think we could have won by more. I think during the game around second, third quarter, we had like a 12-point lead. We got a little comfortable and let them come back. They start coming back. We only won the game by 3 points. We definitely could have won by more though. So I think just staying disciplined, getting a little sloppy, we could have really won. So that was a home game. Second game, we played the same team, but we went into their home. They came in double teaming me and like throwing defense at me and stuff. And I had a bad first quarter, but I had to bounce back. And then within the second and third quarter of that game, it was just a back and forth game. Like it was anybody's game. and we went into the fourth quarter of that game, basically down 2, and we was running our sets and stuff, and it just you know, me and my teammates just the ball falling out, and like, you know, like it's just not going in. It wasn't our day to win. It was on their side. So, but I feel very confident playing that team again. I think we should have won that game. If we came out since the beginning playing hard, we wouldn't have that issue. And then this third game, we just won. And the third game, I think we played the best. I think that was like a confidence booster for like all me and my teammates, because that was just a chance for, it wasn't just me. Another, like, lots of other kids on our team had good games. Like our big man, he was good at rebounding. He was rebounding, putting the ball up. Our shooters was hitting. It was just like, it was a confidence booster. So I think heading into these next games, we only got 8 games on the season, but I'm confident in winning all of them. I'm confident.
All right, and we are back. I want to thank Mekhi and Coach McKoy for that interview. All right, we're going to go around the world of sports. Okay, let's start off with college basketball. To no surprise, Boston College, they fired their head coach Jim Christian after 7 years. There was no surprise here. He had a 78-132 record overall and a 26-94 ACC record. And this year they were 3-10. The only thing people were like, all right, there's only a couple weeks left in the season. Why just not wait till the season's over? Because clearly y'all not gonna go anywhere and y'all not good. So, like, why fire him now? You know you're going to do it at the end of the season. Should have just done it at the end of the season.
Mollywopped every game.
I was there. I'm there.
I know. I was watching the clips on Instagram.
Yeah, it's been rough for BC. It's been rough. So they're going to start their head coaching search soon, but they just got to finish out the rest of this season. But, hey, man, it's a results type of business, and if you're not winning games, then you know what happens. Duke's Jalen Johnson, he opts out of the remainder of the season to prepare for the NBA draft. He was averaging 11.6 rebounds and 2 assists per game. I mean, I don't blame him. The season was they're not that good. The season's over.
And he got injured during the season as well, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would definitely try to be safe.
And there's people out there talking about he quit on his team and blah, blah, blah. Like, no. The coach didn't even want the season to happen, so...
Jalen, don't pay any money. Yeah. Just worry about counting your money.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, these people always want to come at athletes for making a decision that betters their life. I'm like, get out of here.
They're just mad.
Yeah, that too. All right, Maine has opted out of the remainder of the season due to COVID, so I don't blame them. Hey, sometimes these hard decisions got to be made. They played a few games. I saw one game of theirs. They had some guys on that team, but hey, man, we already seen the Ivy League. They're not having a season. They haven't had a football or basketball season. So, and I don't think they're having a spring season as well. So
safety first.
Taking it well. All right, Northeastern Northeastern and North Carolina are gonna go at it today. This was made. They made this game the other day.
Because they don't never play each other.
Yeah, they don't. But and Northeastern coach said an opportunity opened up. They needed to fill something, so they're more than welcome. This has been an interesting year for Northeastern because they've played a few good Power 5 teams. They played Syracuse, Georgia, West Virginia, and then they're gonna play North Carolina. So they played all those losers, and they held their own against all those 3 teams. They held their own.
It's just a good opportunity.
Yeah.
For Northeastern to be on that stage to play against them to show what they could do.
Well, right now they're the best college team around here. So, and Tyson Walker, he got his 3rd Conference Player of the Week award. Dope. So that sophomore, he's out there getting buckets. I mean, you get buckets. No, I'll be saying the clips. All right, Australian Open: Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka to face off tomorrow in the semifinals. This is big. Everybody's watching. Well, people that look like us, they watch, man. And avid tennis watchers. I just don't know what time it is because these games be on at like 3 a.m.
It's like the rubber match.
I think this is their second meeting.
Second meeting?
Yeah, I think so.
Osaka beat her, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago. She won in 2019.
I watch tennis. A lot of people don't know that about me.
Yeah, so this is the greatest against the future. And, you know, they were a better matchup than to have these two go at it. So, and these two playing helps tennis a lot. Promotion and visibility and, you know, and just girls that look like, young ladies that look like Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka.
The world we live in as well.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's going to be a good one. All right, the Bruins, their matchup with the New Jersey Devils the other night got postponed. They'll be going back in action tomorrow, I believe, unless that gets postponed. So we'll see. Right now, the Bruins are at first place in their little division. So,
that's what's up.
Yeah, keep on winning, Bruins. We need some wins here. All right. NFL news, former NFL receiver Vincent Jackson, he was found dead in a hotel room on Monday in Florida. Yeah. The family had reported him missing last Wednesday, and then they made an official, you know, missing persons report Thursday, and then, you know, authorities found him dead in the hotel room.
He just retired?
He retired a couple years ago.
Years?
Yeah. 12 years in the league. It's sad. I mean, situations like this, hopefully, I mean, they haven't determined what was the cause of death, but sometimes when things like this happens, you know, I don't want to say it, but yeah, it might be. But yeah, it's just sad.
It's easier to think the worst, but hopefully it wasn't.
Yeah, he was 38 years old too. Only 38. I mean, jeez, that's sad. That's a sad story right there. The Panthers are releasing Kawan Short, 2-time Pro Bowler. He was in the final year of a 5-year, $80 million deal. If he stayed with the Panthers in March, on their roster in March, he would have cost them $28.8 million against the cap, so they had to release him just because they didn't want to pay him. So
won't pay their players.
Yeah, so somebody will sign him. And another sad one, Ravens cornerback Jimmy Smith, he was robbed at gunpoint last week in L.A. The story is like he was followed after he got off at LAX. He was with his family. I mean, everybody's all right, but jeez Louise, like California, man, they just been. The past couple of years, it's just been a lot of robberies of celebrities and all that. It's kind of crazy.
It's sad that you can't even just fly back home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, drive home comfortably with your family. Now you have to have armed security come pick you up from the airport. That's just too much going on.
Yeah, these folks out here are out of control.
Unnecessary.
All right, high school basketball. City of Lynn has approved the Lynn English and Lynn Costco to participate in winter sports, and I believe they begin on Monday. So that's big for them. I don't know how many games they're gonna be playing, but you know we're like in the middle of.
I'll let you know.
We're in the middle. You know, this is the point where they're getting ready for the state tournament if it was a normal circumstances. But kudos to those kids that wanted to, and the coaches and ADs that kept the pressure on just to have some type of season for these kids. So that's good for them. St. Mary's and Archbishop Williams will be going at it in the Catholic Central League Cup that they started. This is their first one, pretty much their playoffs. So this is the semifinals, I believe. This game is at Archbishop Williams. And the St. Mary's girls will be hosting Archbishop Williams today. 5 p.m. for the boys, 6 p.m. for the girls. So good luck to all those players.
Definitely.
And one thing I want before we get into top 10. So there's been a conversation in sports regarding greatest athlete of all time since Tom Brady has won the Super Bowl. They're saying, is he the greatest? Serena Williams, is Michael Jordan? And I think people are kind of overlooking this, trying to compare most accolades to greatest athlete, you know?
We already
you know what I'm saying?
On that.
Like, okay, like Tom Brady, he got to be some type of athletic because he played baseball and football and stuff like that. Serena Williams, we don't know how athletic she is. We know in tennis you got to be athletic. You got to be somewhat athletic. So we don't know. My thing with the greatest athlete of all time, the conversation has to start with either Wilt Chamberlain or homie baseball football.
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, or Jackie Joyner Kersey. Because I could argue that some track stars are probably the most athletic people in the world. But Wilt Chamberlain was an All-American in basketball and track. Jim Brown was All-American in football and lacrosse. Mm-hmm. Deion Sanders, he played football game and a baseball game in the same day. Bo Jackson, he was just doing it all. I think people are kind of missing the argument or missing the point.
Their biggest thing with Tom Brady is because he's so not athletic, but he's a terminal winner. Yeah. It's kind of like that Larry Bird syndrome. Yeah. Just a lot worse because Larry Bird was actually athletic.
Yeah.
He was nice. Tom Brady, nice. He's just not athletic. So he's a great athlete. He's just not one of the, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's one of the greatest athletes, but he's just not like the top of the cream of the crop. Like, he's good there, but he's just not.
Yeah, like the thing I would say about him, Serena Williams, I would say they're the most accomplished athletes. Most accomplished. Are they the most athletic? I don't know. That's still, because there's some other people that are more athletic. Like, you know, is Serena Williams more athletic than Jackie Joyner Kersey?
I personally put individual sports stars ahead of team sports stars personally. So I put tennis players ahead of almost everybody else.
I put track players
on team sport.
Yeah, I put track and field stars. But also with Serena, but also with tennis, they have like eight different types of tournaments. You got Wimbledon, you got the U.S. Open, you got the British Open, the French Open, Australian Open. You got so many.
And they're on grass and clay.
Yeah.
And all this stuff like that.
And they have so many opportunities just to show. You know, basketball, football, you got that whole one season, but.
Oh, but you saying like how like runners only got like one year to really show everything, but you're only really running.
Yeah.
So like you shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you're just running.
Yeah, so I mean, greatest athlete of all time. There's some other people that we could put, and plus there's some people that aren't even stars that we could put as probably the greatest athletes. So that type of discussion is kind of crazy.
It's just I think the people that like really like watch and believe Rocky was real are the people that really root for Tom Brady in these conversations. Cause you guys gotta be a little logical at times, like.
And all that, no, we gonna go to the top 10. The NBA top 10. We gonna go to All right, and we are back at it. Okay. Starting March 1st, we will be taking submissions for a poetry slam that we will be producing for National Poetry Month on April. So make sure, look on LCTV Facebook page and website. We'll have the flyer with all you need to know. But if you are a spoken word artist and you want to get your spoken word on, be sure to participate in that. You know, all you gotta do, record yourself reciting whatever poem you have written, and then you can send it over to me, and then it'll be part of the program.
I can do one too.
Anybody can do one.
Oh, snap!
Everybody can do one.
You can't swear.
If you cursing, it'll probably get censored.
I ain't doing one.
Well, I'll probably mute it, or I'll put the bleep button.
It's gonna mess up my poem. Right?
I'll just put the bleep button, just so we know. But that's about it. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all. All right, and for the people in Texas, yo, they're going through it right now. I was talking to my uncle last night. He been out of power for 3 days. It's cold. Can't find gas anywhere. I just talked to my girl Danielle. She has to, she said they've been without power for a couple of days, and she has a kid too. So, oh man, thoughts and prayers are for the folks down there in Texas. This is what happens when your elected officials have failed you, pretty much. Because I know, as much as we complain about ours over here, whenever there's a snowstorm or a blizzard or something with snow happening around here, they're on top of it. They make sure that the roads are salted and snowed. Sometimes they're not, or sometimes they get a little, but it happens. So, man, woo, thoughts and prayers for the folks in Texas. And, follow him, Mr. Burton 23 on Instagram, Mukala K on Instagram, and visit the LCTV Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, all that good stuff. And, I probably forgot some stuff, but whatever. I gotta get my teeth pulled tomorrow, so peace out.